leather gloves, we're slapping in hands. Popcorn and peanuts, we're working the stands. Pink cotton candy, love on a stick, was chasing the beer that circled the lips. Play ball, play ball. Load up the bases and smack it right over the wall.
Play ball.
Play ball.
And we are in. This is Laughter Saves Live.
Take off the
Johnny
caps.
Larocchia from Massapequa, New York. Paradise Studios, Strong Island Television, right by the Long Island Railroad, and a Chinese restaurant. We are on the air. My co-host tonight is John Piazza. Welcome, John.
What's up? What's good? Thanks for having me on, John.
We can have co-hosts on from anywhere in the country when we Zoom now. I am old because I still find Zoom amazing. You know, cell phones unbelievable. And so we went far and near to get John to co-host tonight. John, where are you calling from?
Massapequa.
John is 10 minutes away from the studio. You know, and I wrestled with having him in studio because I love to have the co-host in studio. We've had regular co-hosts and friends of John Piazza. He knows Pat Marone, my buddy. We have a lot of mutual friends. But I put myself out there more than I normally do this week with the COVID situation. I went to Boston, to teach at Massport, the Massachusetts Port Authority. The firefighters out there. So I taught out there. We did 2 comedy shows. Kept my mask on as much as I could. Kept distance. But I said, you know what? I'm going to stay in my bubble for 10 days. Just my family. And I didn't want to expose Mr. Piazza to me just in case.
I appreciate it. I've been exposed to a lot of things. I actually sat on a toilet seat in Penn Station and forgot to put paper on the seat. So I don't know what I'm carrying either, John.
Let me tell you something.
You did that.
If you did that, you are immune the rest of your life to every disease. There's not a disease you can get after sitting on a toilet seat at Penn Station.
Well, thanks, man. I feel much better about myself. Thank you.
I go over those bowls in Penn Station like a female. I squat. Today, wait a second. You hear the music?
My favorite music in the world, John.
We have Robin on, the original Robin from Batman and Robin, Burt Ward. Today, Butch Seltzer all right, that's good, Bob. I was gonna play that music for 15 minutes, but I think it would have been a little long. Butch
grew up on that music. I love that. That's the best theme song. That is the all-time best theme song of any television show growing up in the 60s and 70s.
You know why though? Probably it is, and you're like me. Can I ask you how old you are?
52.
You're 52. I'm older than you. I'm 61. But it brings us back to our childhood. That's part of the reason that I think you go, oh, that's the best themes. It really wasn't the best written theme song, I don't think. But just like when I hear,
cool.
What's that?
It was just so cool.
Yes.
And then they had the cartoon kind of guys going by with the thugs and the faces, and it all worked out. It was just really psychedelic. And
yes.
It was just great.
It was fun.
It was great.
It was fun to watch. You know, we need more fun today. You know, there's too much stress. There's too much diversity out there. And anything that'll bring us together to laugh, to smile, to virtually hug, I love it. Butch landed this guest. He got us Rich Little a few weeks ago, and I hope he's not going to get upset at me. He's probably going to be bouncing through the phone lines here if I say this. Looks like we landed for next month. I'm waiting for the phone to ring to say, don't say it! Lou Gossett Jr.
Wow, that's amazing.
You know, it's amazing that these stars, these people, don't do their research and go, let me see how good this show is and watch it before they come on.
Right.
Because if they watch the show before they come on, I don't think we would get them. No,
well, maybe
that's not true.
Lou Gossett. I mean, this guy started An Officer and a Gentleman with Richard Gere. I mean, and that was just a tremendous movie.
Yes.
And I mean, he really stole the movie. He was really, really great as a drill sergeant.
Wasn't he
wonderful?
Wasn't he in one of the Vietnam movies? Was he in that Full Metal Jacket? Right, no.
No, it wasn't Full Metal Jacket.
I think it was in one of the other ones.
Again, it was Officer and a Gentleman. Was the military. He was also in Jaws. One of the Jaws movies, the later ones. Yeah, it was like a later Jaws movie. You'll have to ask him when he's on, but he's one of those guys. You see him, you know it's him. He's unbelievable. There's only one Lou Gossett Jr. You know, that's it. You know, great actor.
So we're excited about that. You know, I like to have on our heroes. I like to have on our charities. We usually have 1 or 2 on a week for 10 minutes, talk about what they do, the military charities, the first responders. We try to get some yucks out of them, yet getting their information out. But, you know, we're trying to get more viewers too. So Butch is bringing on these big stars, and that's a good thing for Laughter Saves Lives. That's a good thing.
Absolutely. What you do is amazing. What you do is amazing, John. You know, I mean, if you don't have respect for the fire department, give up everything now, because what you do, where you've been, 9/11, my family's all firemen. Real quick, I mean, you and I have a great connection. My father-in-law, 136 truck, Elmhurst.
Oh, wow.
I'm Tom Von Essen's first cousin. My
You're
brother
kidding
retired,
me.
EMT. My brother, EMT lieutenant during 9/11. My brother-in-law, Peter, Harlem fireman.
Oh,
retired.
wow.
Yeah, so I respect this so much. You have no idea.
I think EMT, other than the prison guards, what's the title? What do they call themselves? The prison officers.
Correction officers.
Correction officers. I think EMS is the toughest job in the city, next to correction officers. You know,
scary.
Correction officers can be very depressing, I'm sure. EMS, you're going in buildings with one other guy, apartment buildings, up the stairs. I mean, at least we go in with 5 guys.
Yeah,
you know, so I all the respect to cops and the EMS, and so that's pretty cool. So I'd love to get you involved in some of the stuff we're doing. We'll talk.
We have a very nice connection with that.
Yeah, and we got the Gonzalone connection.
And you're from Middle Village, which is funny, up by Juniper Valley Park.
Yes.
Yeah, my father, we had a house up Metropolitan Avenue in Greenpoint, not far from there.
Right.
I come from Queens as well, Ozone Park, Queens.
Okay.
So I grew up on Metropolitan Avenue, man.
Oh, that's the avenue. It's not Metropolitan Avenue. It's you're going up the avenue.
The avenue, man.
Go
St. John's Cemetery. If you don't know where the avenue is, just think of St. John's Cemetery, and that's all. That's the neighborhood. Really, we're famous for the cemetery. That's what we're known for.
Surrounded by cemeteries.
Nita Steens.
Nita Steens. I think I told a story before on this show, but my first paid comedy gig was Nita Steins.
Wow.
They knew my family because we owned the barbershop and the luncheonette on D Avenue. And want to do comedy? Yeah, I'll go do. I show up. It's all old German men that haven't ate, have drank for about 3 hours, and he introduces me like this. Ladies and gentlemen, before we bring out our strippers, and I go, oh my God, it was the worst gig ever. It was the worst. I cried. I actually cried and left. Didn't take my money. It's my anniversary, John.
30? When was it? 30 years?
36 years. This poor girl, this poor saint of a woman, has lived with me. I feel bad for her. I do. I feel bad for her.
Can't be that bad, John.
Oh,
because you have grandchildren to distract the marriage. See, when you have grandkids, they can actually distract how poor of a husband you are. Because every once in a while you get a cool moment with a grandchild, which brings you back up a notch. You know. You know how lucky I am. He lives on my corner. Oh, that's great. So when I turn the corner going down, if I see cartoons on the TV, pull the car over, I knock on the window, I say, "Hey, dude, what are you doing?" And he peeks his little, "Hey, Grandbabs," because he calls me Grandbabs. "Hey, Grandbabs." I had a rental car the other day coming back from Boston. He goes, "Is that a rental? Whose car is that?" I go, "It's a rental car." He goes, "Does it start with a key or the button?" Smart. He's into all these little things with the cars. He's a panic. So anyway, ADD, we went out east today. I took Paulie out east to buy some pumpkins and some pies, and we got. You gotta buy the pie out there. You get to the pumpkin farm, and you're gonna buy a pie, and you ask, "How much is a pie?" It's $79. You're like, "Let's take another one home for Mom too." Yeah. That's the thing. If you're not paying a lot, you're not out east far enough. Yeah. I used to go in the corn maze, And you used to spend so much money by the time you bought a pie and went to the corn maze that the farmers figured it out. They put an ATM right in the center of the corn maze so you could buy that pie.
You know, you got some funky looking pumpkins these days, though. Like, you know, it looks like the show. You know, you ever hear the show The Pimple Popper?
Yeah.
Like some of those pumpkins have all these pimples on. It's like green. That's a pumpkin. That's ugly. It's ugly. Why would you want to put that in front of your house? You know.
I don't know. The uglier the pumpkin, the more Halloween it is. You know what I mean? I like an ugly pumpkin. That's just me. I like an ugly pumpkin. Yeah, I do. I like the creepy looking ones. You know. And
but they're not even. They're not even orange.
I got 2 green pumpkins on my patio right now.
All right.
Yeah, maybe they're watermelons. I don't even know. John.
Maybe they ward the ghosts away. I don't know. Bobby, can you put up that flyer? We recorded a show on Sunday. JJ Boyd helping through Yuma. Chris Roach, Joe Starr headlining, JJ Boyd, and Johnny Larocchia. Fun show. It was recorded. It's being edited this week, and as of the 12th, it'll be available online for purchase. $31, $25 will go to the organization that you choose. So I've been in touch with military, veteran, first responder organizations from around the country. And on Monday, you will go on to helpingthroughyuma.org. You will put in your information, pay the $31, pick your organization. Please pick Laughter Saves Lives if you'd like. And $25 out of that $31 will go towards the organization. So that's a big deal for us.
That's a great thing. That's great.
It's a first, and we're going to be doing more of these virtual shows. They're hard. We're going to do some out of the studio here. They're very hard to do when you don't have much of an audience. But it keeps us in touch with the organizations, keeps us networking. It's a way for them to raise funds. Everybody's having a hard time raising funds.
Sure.
So people are sitting in their living rooms, and you know how cops and firemen are. You know, they're cheap bastards. They're going to invite over 12 people. They're going to pay $2 a piece to watch the show. You know, 2-drink minimum. They'll go to the refrigerator. It'll be great. It'll be great.
And cops and firemen don't dance, John. I noticed that too. You know, I'm a DJ for 35 years. And every time they say, oh, we're having our fire department, what are those benefits you guys have? Installation dinners.
Right.
If the wives aren't dancing, nobody's dancing. Cops and firemen don't dance. They don't. Their wives dance. They're at the bar. They're watching the game.
You're right.
And that's what they do. You're right.
You're right.
Sorry to be stereotypical, but it's true.
I do cut the rug, as they used to say back in the 40s or whatever. I go out there and dance. Most people say, listen, you are one that should be sitting at the bar. But I have to thank you because you did a nice thing during this COVID. I don't know if you're still doing it, but you were playing some tunes, live Zoom sessions for people. Keep their spirits up, and I watched a few of them a little bit.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in, man. It was a good outlet for me.
Yeah.
I have a particular type of music from the generation I grew up with the freestyle and stuff like that. And, you know, you can't get it on the radio. So when I mix it live and people actually see, like, wow, this is actually what a DJ does.
Yes.
Because my hands are working the board, and you add the personality in there. And it kind of reinvented me and kept me familiar with entertainment. You know?
All right, let's do this. Let's do this, John. Burt Ward is in the waiting room, so let's go to our first commercial, and we'll bring out Burt Ward.
Love it.
Hi, I'm Michael Barish, managing partner of Barish, McGarry, Salzman & Penson. We are honored to represent over 11,000 people in the 9/11 community. The people who work at my law firm can really relate to what the 9/11 community is going through because they're going through it too.
So my dad's name was Billy Gormley, and he was a fireman on 9/11.
My father also was a firefighter, and he did report down there as well on 9/11.
My dad, Alan, worked on the 104th floor of the second tower. He was an IT technician.
My father was a fire inspector.
My husband, his name is David Velez. He was a detective with the NYPD, and if I can help anybody that is going through exactly what I have gone through for the last 17, 18 years and make their life just a little bit better, then you know what? I love coming to work every single day.
You know, this is a genuine office. Like, people are really sincere.
The best part of my job is the clients. Every once in a while, you'll hear in their voice how grateful they are for the work that we do.
We take this personally, and we will not rest unless we help everybody we can before this Victim Compensation Fund ends in 2 years. And we will be fighting to get this thing extended past 2020 because cancer isn't going to stop afflicting the 9/11 community.
And we're back with Laughter Saves Lives Live. We see Burt Ward on the screen. He is here. I just wanted to say that last commercial, Barish and McGeary, helped so many firefighters still to this day with getting what they deserve, at least financially, from being ill after 9/11. So Michael Barish, I always like to give a special thanks to him. He's a good man. Hello, Burt!
Hello, citizens!
I can't believe this because as a kid, it was so fun and fun. It was fun to watch your show. You know, being today with all the stress in the country, I would love to see the show done again because it brought us such joy, you know?
Yeah, it was family entertainment for every age. For the kids, it was the hero worship of the superheroes. For the adults, it was the nostalgia of the comic book. And for the teenagers and college kids, in those days, everybody wanted to be outside, like cruising the local drive-in. But we got them inside because of the suggestive double meanings and double entendres and the campy style that Adam and I did.
Well, I don't mean to belittle Adam and you, but I think a lot of the teenagers watched hoping Catwoman would be on, or
Julie Newmar.
Yes.
Newmar.
Yeah.
And then the Kit, man.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
They were
and then in our movie, Leanne Merriweather, who was Miss America, and she was on Barnaby Jones. She played Catwoman in our Batman movie.
You know what? I didn't remember that. John and I, we want to ask you a few questions about the show, and then we'll get into
anything you want.
The wonderful stuff that you do with the dog rescue. Did you when you got this? Was it an audition or were you picked to do this role? And how old were you? How old were you?
I was 19. I was 20. I was 20, and what happened was I was selling real estate with my father. He was a prominent real estate broker in Beverly Hills, California. And I had gotten my real estate license right after I turned 18. I actually was able to take it without even studying because my father was one of the top guys and I learned a lot. But I was sitting on houses on the weekends, and one of the houses that was ultimately sold was to a producer named Saul David, who I showed the house to, and I found out he was a producer, and I asked him if I could do a scene for him. I had been studying at UCLA acting, but also studying professionally with one of the top coaches in Hollywood. So he watched the scene. He said, let me see what I can do. I'll send you to an agent. So I called the agent that he told me to call. And the agent's first thing he said to me is, I can't get work for the actors I got. I would never take anybody new, but because of Saul David, I'm taking you. Okay, but don't expect to work for a year. And if you do, you're going to get a one-line part. Okay, wow. So that was the kind of encouraging start. I didn't hear from him for a couple of weeks, and then I got a phone call from the guy's office, and he said they said there's an interview. We got it set up for you tomorrow over at 20th Century Fox in West Los Angeles. Be there at 4:30. They'll give you a drive-on pass. I said, well, is there anything I need to know? No, just go there. They're seeing young guys. So I went there the next day and got escorted to a bungalow where I met the casting director. And the casting director just talked to me for a minute or two and said, would you like to meet the executive producer? I said, sure. I mean, I figured everybody got to meet the executive producer. Right. Well, that's not true, but I didn't know that.
Sure.
So I went to meet the executive producer, William Dozier. And I guess because I hadn't been kicked around and rejected like so many young actors, I mean, I'm telling you, by the time they get to anywhere, they're already half destroyed emotionally because of the rejection and just a tough business. But anyway,
it's like living in my house. It's like living in my house, Burt.
Yeah, there you go. So I walk in and I said, hello, Mr. Dozier. And he was shocked that anybody would be that forward, I mean, he wasn't expecting that.
Right.
And he kind of stood back and he said, you're kind of big for the part. And I said, oh, but sir, I promise you, I won't grow anymore. And he laughed. You know what I mean? Like, who could stop that, right? He said, well, would you be interested in doing a screen test? I said, sure. I figured everybody got to do a screen test. Well, that's not true either, but I didn't know that. So he set it up, and it was like a week or two later, I did a screen test, and that's where I met Adam West, because I screen tested with Adam. I sat down about 15 minutes before the screen test, and you have to understand, I had no idea what I was screen testing for. I was given a piece of paper, single piece of paper, and all it had on there were paragraphs, and it said Bruce with some dialogue, Dick with some dialogue. Didn't say Dick Grayson, Bruce Wayne, Bat, none of that.
And
Bruce
you were like a trained actor. Like, would you ever think that you wanted a part like this from your training?
Well, I had no idea what it was for. I was there for.
Right.
So first thing is we did a scene which is like the Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson, so it's in civilian clothes, right? I mean, so I had no idea what it was, and all I had was some dialogue. And I said, "Thank you very much." He said, "Oh, wait a minute, we're not done with you yet." I said, "Oh, okay. What do I need to do?" Well, over at the other end of the sound stage, we've got a dressing room. We got two guys, wardrobe guys, there to help you get dressed. We want you to go get dressed and come back, and we'll shoot another scene. I said,
can't imagine what you looked at when you saw that costume for the first time.
But wait a minute. So I said, hey, listen, I'm perfectly capable of dressing myself. I said, oh, no, you don't understand. You just go over there. You'll understand. So I went over there, and I went into this dressing room, and I saw all this stuff. I mean, they have it's like a couch, but or just like a big mattress, but like 10 feet long. And I saw all this stuff, and I said to one of the guys, am I going to put some of this on? He said, no. You're going to put all of it on. So they helped me get dressed. The most uncomfortable thing in my entire life I had ever put on. I had no idea. I didn't recognize this as a costume of anything I recognized. I thought it might be some Shakespearean thing for all I knew. Right? I put this thing on. I can't see out of the mask. All you can do is see straight. The mask is like rubbing your eyelashes, which, is kind of irritating. The tights pull the hair on your leg. The vest pokes you in the chest with wool. I mean, there's nothing comfortable about this thing. And the cape, I'm telling you, it's 15 pounds of cape, pulling your head back like this. So anyway, I'm so uncomfortable, but I try to make the best of things. You know what I mean? In life, you try to make the best of it. So I turned to these two wardrobe guys after this getting dressed, and as I started this step on, I said, look, I just want you to know, the good news here is that after another 15 or 20 minutes, I'll never have to put this costume on again. Famous last words, right?
That is so cool.
I bet you wish you still had that utility belt.
John, go ahead. You got a question?
Oh, I got a ton of questions. I'll let you finish yours, John. That's okay.
So, in other words, but you have to understand, they didn't have Batman comic books where I grew up. They had Superman comic books and Superboy. I had no idea. Even when I did the thing with Adam and he's in the Batman costume, I didn't recognize him as a superhero.
Oh, really? Really?
What this could have been some kind of a joke thing like Hee-Haw or something. I had no idea what this was.
It could have been some kind of porno thing, too, with these costumes on.
I didn't think so. 20th Century Fox is not known for that.
All right, good.
Especially for primetime television. But in any event, so I waited like 6 weeks, didn't hear anything, but I kept getting phone calls after the first week from the studio. What's your shoe size? Well, I don't know. I'll go find out. What's your hat size? Well, I don't wear a hat. Well, go have your head measured. Why would I need to have my head? All of this stuff. Well, after 6 weeks, I got a call by these agents to come back in for an interview or to sign papers, they said. So I was excited, like, wow. I mean, now they're going to formally represent me. They didn't represent me before. There was nothing signed. They were not my formal agents. And now I'm going in and I'm going to have real agents and do it the right way. So I sit down at the table and they got these contracts there, but they don't say the name of the agency. It says 20th Century Fox. I said, well, what's this? They said, these are your contracts.
Wow.
And they said, you got the show. I didn't know that. They said, you mean the studio didn't tell you? I said, no. And a week later, I was at the studio, and they said, you mean your agents didn't tell you? So 4 of the last of the 6 weeks, I had already gotten the part, but didn't know about it.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy. What was that, 1965? Around there?
Yes, yeah. And then We started in production September of 1965, and we made a pilot that was, they really spent some money on the pilot, and normally our show would take 1 week to make an episode, but this was like 3 weeks. I mean, they really wanted to doll this up.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, when you're shooting a show, it's not the glamour that you think it is. I mean, you're on this giant sound stage. It's very cold there, even during the day. I don't care how hot it is outside. This thing is padded like you wouldn't believe. Heavy air conditioning. And I was like by far the youngest person on the set. The closest person to me in age was Adam, who was 37. And I'm 20, right? He's 17 years older than me. And all the rest of the people, the crew, I mean, these are pros. They just use, they're like 50s and 60s. These are the best of the best cinematographers and all that stuff. So for me, I would wait 45 minutes while they would light a shot and work for 30 seconds.
Wow.
And wait another 45 minutes and work for 30 seconds. And you do that all day long, and it's like you don't know what to do. You can bring reading material, all of this. But it wasn't until I saw the show when it was actually put together on opening night, January 12th, 1966. And then I saw, like, wow, I said, this is really good. That theme music, that's really cool. The fight scenes with the pows and zap. I remember the fight scenes. At the time, I was a brown belt and I became a black belt. But,
I was going to ask you that.
I loved the fight scenes. I loved all of that. But you don't know what it's like, and until you see it all put together.
Yeah. I was going to ask you with the fight scenes, like how much rehearsing did you do? Because on TV, I mean, we know you're not really hitting them. You know what I mean? But
you're not supposed to, but it did happen.
I'm sure it did, but when you...
Well, no, I'll tell you how it happened.
Yeah, go ahead.
The stuntmen got excited. Some people, when the camera rolls, all of a sudden, it's like they get a burst of energy, and it's not always good energy. So a couple of times I was hit by a stuntman. I hit him right back, and really hard.
Good for you. Good for you.
I mean, I don't mess around with this stuff. And for me, that was the best part of the whole thing. I love the fight scenes. And a piece of trivia for you, okay?
Yes.
One of the neighbors where I lived was a guy named Bruce Lee.
Oh, wow.
Bruce Lee, as you know, became the most famous martial artist in cinema the world has ever seen.
Amazing.
I used to spar with Bruce Lee.
You trained with him? Oh.
Okay, I sparred with him. And in fact, we were friends. I remember at the time, his wife Linda and his son Brandon was 6 months old at the time. We used to go down into Chinatown to have dinner, and he'd order all the most authentic stuff because he had lived in Hong Kong for 10 years. But a piece of trivia for you. Bruce Lee's first filmed fight scene of his entire career was fighting me on Batman.
I was just going to ask you that. Wasn't he on? For some reason, I remember him being on.
Yeah, he was Kino, and we had the same producer, executive producer, William Dozier, and what he did was very smart because Batman was the #1 show in the entire world. Actually, #1 and #2 because we were on twice a week. And so to introduce the Green Hornet, which was, Van Williams as the Green Hornet and Bruce Lee as Kato, they brought him on the show, had some scenes with us, okay, which, kicked off the fall premiere of their series.
But you had the greatest celebrities on, Burt. I mean, if you think about who you got to really work with, and you were 20 years old, you already had a superstar like Burgess Meredith, who was in Westerns and on TV shows like Rawhide and all these other shows like for
Cesar Romero. Okay, listen, how about, I mean, there's so many, Victor Buono, a great actor, all these incredible actors. I mean, and the thing is that every week it was a different actor. And I was a kid in the candy store, every one of them.
Was Clint Eastwood ever on? Was Clint Eastwood ever on?
No. Cliff Robertson was on, and his wife Dina Merrill. They played Shane, which is a takeoff on the TV or the movie called Shane.
Right,
it was Shane. That he played that character. But we had all kinds of characters. Liberace. We had. We did just about every major star was on our show. That wanted to be.
And you got to work with all of them. John, if I may ask Burt a question.
Go ahead.
Adam West to me was, and you knew him personally, worked with him. You were boy wonder. To me, Adam West could have played the role of, let's say, Captain Kirk on Star Trek. He was that good.
Yeah.
Adam West, in my opinion, could have even been a James Bond. He was
hired for that, or he was offered that, and he turned it down because he said his exact words, "I think Bond should have been played by a Brit." That's his exact quote.
Oh, wow.
Because he was really tremendous. I remember watching episodes of The Rifleman with Chuck Connors and seeing a young Adam West in like 1957, 1958. And he was a gunslinger, and I mean, the guy is just a tremendous actor. I mean, so
he's also got an amazing sense of humor, and I'm telling you, he's a very wild guy, or was a very, very, very wild guy. Okay.
I remember this.
Oh yeah, that's the famous Batusi. You know,
Batusi.
What about what about all the vehicles that were in there? The boat and the motorcycle. Were they real vehicles?
Of course. Oh yeah, I had a real accident with that the bat cycle, or the little sidecar. I mean, let me tell you something. That sidecar, it was not. I mean, it was custom built, and the problem was it was just too delicate in the way. You know, you make the slightest turn, and it makes a sharp turn. And we were on the pier in Santa Barbara, California, shooting this the movie. Okay. And we pull up in the thing, and I come right off in the bat cycle. I lost control and went over the edge of the pier into the ocean.
Really?
Wow.
I'm telling you, I almost drowned in that costume trying to swim in the ocean.
Yeah.
You should have had your utility belt life jacket.
I had my utility belt. You couldn't do anything. You're so drenched with water. The water weight is unbelievable.
Well, I have to tell you, with that costume, I know as being a New York City fireman, you know, sometimes I'd go out and I'd have the shirt still on, and the ladies would go, "You're fireman." Boy, if you went out with the Robin costume on, I bet you the ladies flocked.
Yeah, because they can't fit in the tights like he did.
Yes.
Well, they flocked anyway. Okay. So it was a wonderful time. Adam was a lot of fun, a marvelous sense of humor. This guy, I mean, the two of us in 5 minutes when I first met him, in 5 minutes we were laughing. We never stopped laughing for more than 50 years.
Wonderful.
We were really good friends.
You must have learned a lot from those great actors at 20 years old. You must have really learned a lot. In, you know, being so young and being surrounded by like the best of the best, like you say, Cesar Romero. I forget off the top of my head, the Riddler was another big actor.
Frank Gorshin.
Oh yeah,
great. Julie Newmar. I mean, we had all kinds of actors and actresses on our show that were extremely well known, and in fact, so many of them wanted to be on the show that couldn't because there were just not enough roles. They created that scene of Batman and Robin going up the side of the building, and the window opens, and the first one was Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah, that was like almost
hopping out of the windows, John.
All these different, different people. You know, Colonel Klink, Lurch. I mean, we had all these different, celebrities that opened the window.
I remember.
Ask us a question.
Hey, Burt, let's do this. We're going to go to commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk more.
Okay.
Burt Ward, this is awesome. We'll be right back.
Every once in a while, I come across a product I have to tell people about. LifeVac is one of them. Now, each year, 5,000 people choke to death. LifeVac can stop these senseless tragedies. It's so easy to use. You simply place, push, and pull. You'll never regret having a LifeVac. Please visit lifevac.net today to protect you and your loved ones.
Jack, put your phone away. We're having dinner.
Hey, guys.
Hi, how you doing?
What can I get you?
You guys want appetizers?
For some reason, I just got a craving for smoked meat.
Will you order something already? The menu hasn't changed. You looked at it 3 times.
I don't know what I want yet.
I wanted chicken, but I think it's blackened, so I'll just have a burger.
How'd you like that cooked?
Medium.
Do you have any specials?
Specials? Boss, what are specials?
What's the matter? You don't know the specials?
Look at this smoke.
What smoke?
We gotta get these dumps clean.
Nah, they're fine.
You know what? We're just gonna take our order to go, okay?
In business since 2003, MCM Duct Cleaning is the result of many years of research and continuing education. Realizing the need to provide a safer and cleaner environment for families on Long Island, MCN services both residential and commercial properties by cleaning dryer vents, fireplaces, HVAC systems, and so much more. This not only improves air quality, but it could also reduce your energy bills by making things run more efficiently. So, if you want to make your house or business safer and cut down on your bills in the process, give our friend Matt over at MCN a call now.
Is that steak well done?
Maybe call a little bit sooner than these guys did.
We are back with Robin from Batman, Burt Ward. Thank you so much again for being here. You're an awesome guest. I mean, you exude fun and friendliness, and it's just so exciting to have you here. John was a bigger fan of the show than I was. I watched it. He was I know he was excited to be here. So thanks so much.
This is like a live Wikipedia of Burt Ward right now. You know.
There you go.
Unbelievable, man.
We can talk to you all day about Batman, but I wanted to get to something else that you're very passionate about. A number of years ago, you tell me how many you got involved with rescuing dogs, and that led to
26 years ago. 26.
So tell how many? 26.
Yes.
So, and it's a specific type of dog, yes?
Well, we started with Great Danes, okay, and we actually became the world's largest giant breed dog rescue. Giant breeds meaning Great Danes, Irish Wolfhounds, English Mastiffs, and so on. But it got to a point where people would come and drop their dog off to us and say, well, I know you'll take my Great Dane, but I guess I better take my Chihuahua to the shelter to be put to sleep. And my wife and I look at each other, no. So my wife now has, because we have 45 different breeds here. Now, there's only 164 breeds of dogs that exist.
Right.
We have 45 different breeds.
Where are
so
these
my wife
dogs?
has redefined the term Great Dane. If it has 4 legs and a tail, it must be a Great Dane.
Where do you live? How big is your house that you have all these dogs?
Yeah, well, we have a big house. It's like 15,000 square feet. Okay, so we have a big house, but that really doesn't matter to them because they're not all throughout the house. They're with us all the time.
Yeah.
John, he lives in the back.
If you go to our website, we have a website, gentlegiantsdogfood.com, and the first thing you see there is a video, full screen, of my wife Tracy and I in bed with 50 of them.
Wow.
We always have a minimum of 50 in our house with us for the last 26 years. We've rescued 15,500. We feed 600 pounds a day of our dog food. But the most important thing that I want to share with your viewers is this. In the course of saving these lives, I mean, think of it this way. If you go to the trouble to bring dogs in from all over the country, actually, we brought in probably 24 from foreign countries. You go to all the trouble to save their lives, you want them to live as long as possible.
Right.
Well, Great Danes and the other large breeds, they have short lifespans traditionally, 7 to 9 years. And when we would lose one, if we didn't adopt him, we held him and we lost him, it destroyed us. I mean, we sobbed. So we decided if we could, we would try to find a way to help them live longer. Well, we created this feeding and care program. In other words, we care and feed for dogs differently than the average person does. It's completely different. And by the way we did that, and we developed it by having 50 dogs in your house. Think about it, 24/7 for 26 years. Believe me, learn. We've averaged 3 years to every dog's life. So instead of the Great Danes living 7 to 9 years, they were living 10 to 12. But we wanted them to live even longer. So we decided, this is for our own dogs, these rescue dogs. Let us go make the finest dog food in the world. I mean, we can afford it. Let's make the finest food in the world and see if maybe we can pull out another year or two. When we went to make the food and we hired 4 of the top nutritionists in the country that we could find, 4 of them, okay? We found out something that was so upsetting to us, it changed our lives forever. And here's what we found out. That dog food companies know something the average person doesn't know, which is the more fat content you put in dog food, the hungrier it makes dogs.
Yeah, it tastes better.
The fat, the more they eat, the more you have to buy.
Right.
And dog food, to my knowledge, everyone I've seen is full of fat. chock full of fat. There's no benefit for the dog. In fact, it's just the opposite. The dog lives a shorter lifespan. And it's all about money.
Burt, this dog food that you created, correct? You created this. Where can the average person find it?
Well, there's a couple of little stores. There's one called Walmart.
I've heard of it. I've heard of it.
Another one called Target.
Heard of
it? Yeah, but online it's everywhere, whether it's PetSmart.com, Petco.com, Chewy.com, Target.com, Walmart.com, TractorSupply.com, and now with our own website, we have a new store that's just opening up this week called Gentle Giant's PetProducts.com. We are actually making the food. We make it fresh every day. Everybody else has warehouses full of dog food sitting there for months. We make it fresh every day. We have no warehouses, but we'll be sending it directly to the customers. Their dogs will be eating the food just as though you were baking bread.
Wow.
How fresh it is.
What are the ingredients? Some of the ingredients. What are some of the ingredients, Bert?
The ingredients are everything is healthy. There's pure nutrition. There's no preservatives, no chemicals. It's pure. We have Tyson, who's very well known with chicken, is our chicken. We have wild-caught Alaskan salmon from Alaska, 4 times the price of regular salmon, finest salmon in the world.
I'm getting hungry. I'm getting hungry.
Beef with real bacon. Nobody else is putting real bacon in.
Right.
But the key thing is the fat content. And let me just tell you one thing that your viewers can go find out right this minute. Go pick up a few kibbles of the food you're feeding your dog. Rub these kibbles in your fingers, put the kibbles down, rub your fingers together, and see if you don't feel that slightly greasy feeling.
You always do.
I'll tell you what that is. That's the fat. Now, and then people say, well, why is it so bad? I said, well, let me give you an example. Would you take a can of bacon grease and pour it down your garbage disposal? Well, of course not. Why? Well, we'd clog it up and I'd buy a new garbage disposal. I said, okay, well, think of that. When you realize that animal fat will ruin a metal garbage disposal, what do you think is happening to the arteries and intestines of that dog you love when every single meal, every single bite, every single kibble is encapsulated in animal fat?
Right.
That's
They do that for flavor, right?
They don't do that.
I'm saying they do that for flavor, these companies, to get the dogs to eat more.
They do it to eat more. Yes, to eat more too. But listen, I just showed you that cuts lifespan as much as in half. Our dogs are running around like puppies in their mid-20s, living up to 27 and a half years. And now, just this week, we're coming out with cat food. And there was a long period when my wife and I said, we're really experts with dogs, really. Why should we put out this cat food? Well, let me tell you, something happened last year that caused us to do that. We had these feral cats that we got 25 years ago.
Yeah, because you don't have enough animals. You might as well get some cats.
Well, we had pigs and goats. We had everything. People gave us these feral cats. They were going to be put to death, okay? We took the cats. We put them in our big building, okay? We just lost 2 cats last year. One was 31 years old.
Wow.
The other was 32 years old. And guess what they were eating? Our dog food.
Wow.
Okay, now, we had regular cat food there because cats do need a little more protein than dogs do. But we had both. And 75% of what they ate was our dog food. So we realized, we've got something that is amazing. So we took all of the best research of our dog food, got the top experts now to convert it to a cat food. We've been testing it for a year with amazing results. And now just this week, Gentle Giant's cat and kitten food is going to be available all around the United States.
Sounds like something John and I should be eating also if it's that healthy. Little Parmesan on it, John.
Well, let me tell you something. Because my wife and I have devoted our lives to this, and by the way, we take no salary from this. We don't take one single dime. This is about loving animals. But I'll tell you something. The only complaint I get, and I get a complaint, you know what that is?
What?
They say, you and your wife are so nuts about animals. Why don't you do something for people? I said, well, wait a minute. If I help you keep your dog or your cat an extra 5 or 10 years longer, don't you think I've done something for you?
Burt,
I never thought of that.
Hey, Burt, we had a Maltese, okay, for a number of years, and the Maltese died a few years ago. My wife cried every night. Okay, that dog was on her lap every night. She cried every night for 3 months. Finally, I said to her, you know what? At my funeral, there's no way you're going to cry this much. There's no way. I said, the only way you'll cry this much if somebody brings a picture of that Maltese. That's the only way. So
Hey, I got a treat for you. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to show you something, guys.
All right. I think he left us. Where did he go?
I love this guy. He must be eating that food because he's got energy.
Yeah. How old are you? Burt, can we ask how old you are?
This is Tinkerbell.
Oh.
Tinkerbell is 25 and a half years old.
I would think.
She's a smaller dog, and they do live a little longer. They don't live 25 and a half years. They're like 14 or 15.
Yeah.
But we have even our biggest dogs that are living. We have one dog. Her name was Tara, a Russian wolfhound, living 7 to 9 years. Inside Edition, the television show, they came out when she was 25 years old and did a segment on her. And the title of the segment is, "Could this be the oldest living pooch in the world?" She lived for another 2.5 years and died at 27 and a half in her sleep.
I have a serious question. Now, the dog food and their teeth, that has a lot to do with heart disease and keeping the dogs alive. Am I correct?
Right.
So your food, it keeps their teeth and gums doing well, and then
well, listen. Here, let me show you something that you might not have thought about. Remember I told you about all the fat on the outside of dog food?
Yes.
That fat acts like a cushion. So when dogs are eating it, they're not getting the friction they should. Our food is bone dry on the outside, no extra grease. So they're getting a tremendous amount of friction, and it's cleaning their teeth.
So their breath is better, they're living longer, it all comes together.
Well, the other thing is, part of the way we have dogs living so long is that we found a way to extend their life energy. In other words, what happens to most dogs, right, unless they're tiny, by the time they're 8 or 9, they can't get up very well or can't walk very well.
Yeah.
And within a couple of years, they can't get up at all. And when they start to poop and pee on themselves, that's when people take them to be euthanized.
Right.
Even though the dog mentally is perfectly alert.
Right. Yeah.
And trusting you. So here's the whole thing. How do we do it? What happens is dogs' bodies wear out faster than humans. And the way we can have dogs like this one that runs around at 25 and a half when other people's dogs can't get up anymore at age 10 or 11. The difference is we found a way to conserve energy. You guys in the fire department, you know that if you have a shortage of water in a city, they start restricting the water, how much you use. We found a way to conserve the energy that a dog expands. So our dogs are running around with lots of energy in their mid-20s, and other people's dogs can't even get up anymore.
Burt, can I ask how old you are? Is that, you mind?
Me, I am, according to my wife, ageless and priceless.
I already looked it up on the internet. I know you're 5'8".
Yeah. And people tell me I'm very well preserved, and I said, I'm not sure I like that word preserved. They said, you're like a relic. I said, wait a minute, I'm not like a relic.
Well, your energy.
Let the audience do the math. You were born in 1945.
Yes, I was. Yeah, I was. That's true. No, I'm 75, but can I tell you something? I never smoked, never drank, never took drugs. My wife and I live a very clean, healthy life. And you know something? It was sad for me to see my fellow actors that were involved with drugs and involved with alcohol. It aged them terribly. I mean, in some cases, it killed them. But, like I tell everybody, the first 100 years are the hardest. After that, it's pretty smooth sailing.
Well, the energy level that you have is amazing. And, it took you a little bit to come out of your shell, like 3 seconds.
I know, I'm very shy and retiring. But let me tell you, if you met my wife, Tracy, can I tell you, and she talked to you before you talked to me, you would think I was a mute. She can out-talk me 10 to 1.
Well,
I got one of those here. I don't need another one.
If my wife was here with me, I probably wouldn't be allowed to talk. So
yeah, there you go. Yeah, me too.
But he wants to say hi to you.
But Pooch.
Well, look at that beautiful Pooch.
Yeah, she's getting up there. She's 13.
There you go. You're gentle giants, and you can add another 5 or 10 years. But let me tell you something else that's very important.
Yeah.
Don't feed your dogs ever on the floor, or always elevate the food and water. And people say, I bought one of these elevated things. No, wait a minute. Every dog has a specific height, and the correct height for every dog is such when they come over to eat or drink, they only tilt their head down. They never lean down. That's part of, remember I told you about conserving energy? Yeah. The second thing is we feed our dogs a minimum of 5 or more times a day, smaller, more frequently.
Really?
Yeah, people say, why would you do that? I say, let me give you a human example.
Well, we're supposed to do that. We're supposed to do that as
But have you ever gone out, I tell people, and eaten too much, you come home and you literally have to lie down to digest your food? They say, yeah. I said, when that happens, your body is physically shutting down everything else in digestion. And if you feed a dog only once or twice a day, you are making that dog's body go through that massive digestive effort and is prematurely wearing their bodies out. That's how we have our dogs eat a minimum of 5 or more times a day, smaller, more frequent meals.
How about, can I ask you about cost of the food? Because as you know, there are people out there.
No calorie from it. Our dog food is about half the price of what you would pay in a pet store. So our motto has been half the price and twice the life.
I love it.
That's Gentle Giants. And with our cat food, it's the same thing. We'll never take, doesn't matter how much we sell. And in fact, one of the ways we have them living so long, believe it or not, is not by selling them more dog food. We have got our dogs eating 1/3 less than other dog foods. Why is that important? 1/3 less digestive effort, 1/3 less wearing their bodies out, and 1/3 less stool to clean up.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, we 50 would love dogs. You must have some pooper scooper at that house, boy.
Yeah, we have professional pooper scoopers.
What do you got, a backhoe? You got a backhoe.
I would imagine you do.
Burt,
well, we have really big dogs. We have dogs up to 300 pounds. Most people have never even seen a 200-pound dog.
No, I never have.
We would love to figure out a way to do some kind of fundraiser with you guys for Laughter Saves Lives and your charity. You know, some kind of comedy
We'd love to
event.
help you. We're okay. Let me tell you something. My wife and I are very successful. You know, people say, well, let me give you a contribution. Say, you know, give it to someone who needs it more than us. We take care of all of our stuff, but I'd love to help with what your cause is.
Oh, that would be great.
Very much.
That would be great.
Okay.
We are going to take you up on that, Burt.
Very good.
We're going to take you up. So we're going to wrap it up. I mean, we could talk for another hour here. I mean,
yeah, I've only had 2 breaths since we started.
I was going to say, I think we only asked you 2 questions, and it was like 40 minutes.
There you go.
But that's wonderful.
I want to hear more about Julie Newmar.
Oh, I tell you, she is a wild and crazy lady. She's the only person that made Adam step back a little bit because she is so unpredictable about what she can say. Wow. Really wild things she can say. That lady has said to me in front of other people on the stage when I came out with her on the stage. Oh, my gosh.
You know, you watch a lot of the shows that are on TV that are older shows, and you look at them and you go, oh, wow, he's a big star now. I saw a guest spot. And you mentioned a few of the stars. Are there any other stars that got the start on your show?
Let's see. I think James Brolin.
James Brolin.
Yeah, I'm not sure about others, but let me tell you something. We also had something that goes way before your time. When we were on Batman, there were some very famous old-time actors like Tallulah Bankhead. I mean, people have never, they don't know the name, but if they research her, she was a superstar. You know, there's this other guy, these bad guys that were the villains and stuff. What is it? George something. All of these guys,
like guys that maybe didn't work
at the time.
Like actors that maybe didn't work for a while, and
well, they've done movies in the 30s and 40s, and now they're brought back. Cool. You know, to do stuff. You know, the old gangster movies guys were some of the villains. But we
watch the Untouchables from the Desilu Productions, and you'll see a lot of these old actors that used to be on the TV series, The Untouchables, and you're like, wow, that guy was also on Batman. And then you catch him on all those shows, John. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, you recognize him, you know?
All right, gentlemen, we have 2 minutes to go before we get off the air. I just, before I forget, websites for the dog food and all that. Did you mention them?
Yeah, our dog food website is gentlegiantsdogfood.com, but our new store is gentlegiantspetproducts.com. It's just coming up this week. But what's so amazing, you know, here's our philosophy. When you make food that is freshly made with fresh ingredients, the sooner your dog or cat eats that food, the better the nutrition.
Sure.
We don't want to have food that's been sitting in a warehouse for 6 months before it's sold in a store. That's why we're making the food fresh, okay? And we're making it available for people that can get it immediately.
Awesome.
Right after it's made.
Awesome. John,
he's doing God's work, man. He's doing the Lord's work.
And it's called Gentle Giants. That's the name of our food, Gentle Giants.
Gentle Giants.
And also people can call in with questions. I get about 1,100 phone calls a week, people calling in. Well, how much do I do this? And what do I do about that? And my dog has this problem. And it was so amazing. Our dogs are so healthy. The only time they go to a veterinarian is every 3 years for a $10 rabies update.
Oh,
that's how
wow.
healthy. You talk about money and expense. Veterinarians are very expensive.
Well, Burt, we're going to get going. Thank you. John?
Thank you so much.
Yes.
And I will say, to the Batmobile citizens.
All right, good night. Good night.
Take care. Thank
Burt.
you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks. Good night.
Old leather gloves, we're slapping in hands. Popcorn and peanuts, we're working the stands. Pink cotton candy, love on a stick. He's chasing the beer, the circle the lips. Play ball, play ball. Load up the bases and smack it right over the wall.
Play ball.
Play ball. Take off the caps. Time for the song.